time for the main event. It's the Shoe Shine.
All right. ¿Qué ondas, vatos locos? It's your boy Dave from the 408 coming to you all the way from my podcast studio in San Jose, Califas, representing the 408 today. Drew, I'm very excited. Let me introduce to you everyone, my co-host all the way from the city of brotherly love, Philly Irish Drew Evo. ¿Qué pasa, homie?
What's up, Dave?
I'm excited, man. Last week was first of all, let's pat ourselves on the back, and we rarely ever do this, but we had a fantastic show last week. Thank you to everyone who watched, commented, hit me up with a like. 1,300 views was kind of stellar for us for the Shoe Shine after just a year and a half. And man, it would be great, Drew, if we can get those kind of numbers every single week. I don't know if it was Jake Paul. Was it the Jake Paul effect? I don't know. I hope to go forward from here to have that kind of audience. And Drew, joining us shortly, if everything goes right, we have a very, very special guest from my neck of the woods, Andy El Tiburon Vences, who's got some big news. We've had him on our show some time ago, over 2 years ago when he was with Top Rank. I'm waiting to see if everything goes right, either with the phone lines or interview mode, but I'm very excited about it. Let me say hello to everyone who's just joining us in the chat. Hey, where the party at, Rhonda? What's up, homegirl? Chicano Prophet is in the room. Sean Hicks. Love the show. Laura R, thank you so much. And anybody else, JC is up here too. I know we're starting it a bit early. I know maybe D-Styles is still live, but as soon as they get done with their show, make sure you let them all know that the Shoe Shine is live, that it is live. So let's get this going, everybody. Hello, Meow Kitty. Hello, Sarah H. Hello. All right. Let's get this show cracking. I think we got our special guest, Drew. Let me get right to him, right to it. Andy El Tiburon Vences, what's poppin', player? I have not seen you in over 2 years. Thank you for joining the Shoe Shine.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a minute. And you know what? Let me let people know here, some of my audience, and in the replay, when they catch this replay. I met Andy at a meet and greet before you had a big fight for Top Rank. And I stepped to him and I said, I want to be in boxing media. And you said, if I remember correctly, you were like, well, let's do it right now. And I had no equipment, no microphones, no nothing, no camera, just a stupid cell phone. And you let me interview you. And my journey on this podcast, it's almost 3 years with my co-host, Drew Evo. And I've been closely watching your journey as well as you were with Top Rank. I think I even followed you going way back to a fight in San Francisco where Paulie Malignaggi was a commentator. Yeah.
At Fisherman's Wharf?
Yep. That was a while back. Yeah.
That was a while back. I'm like, okay, I got to root for homeboy. He's from the Bay Area. I'm going to root for anybody from the Bay Area. So take this with a grain of salt, everyone who's listening. I'm not necessarily interviewing him. This is more a conversation with my boy, okay? Because I'm not going to, ask him the hard questions. Forget that, man. I want to know what's going on with Andy Vences El Tiburon because you've had a string of fights over the pandemic that put you in a position where you are recently. And I saw on social media that you had mentioned that you were looking for a manager and maybe a promotional vehicle, a new promotional company. So Drew and I have been following some of the fights over the pandemic. And I'm talking about, you had one with Bell, right?
The Lopez.
Oh, Luis Alberto Lopez. We'll get to that, El Venado, because a lot of my audience is really interested in him because not only did you fight Luis Alberto El Venado Lopez, and I think you edged that fight, but Gabe Flores went on to get a beatdown. And my audience is very familiar with Gabe Flores and what recently happened to him on Top Rank. Two very tough fights. Bell, I think you may have won that one as well. El Venado Lopez came in and you guys in that fight had each given you guys headbutts, right? You guys had some. And
it was an ugly fight. It was a new experience I was through, but hey, the whole thing that happened with the fact that he put the beating on the other kid, it's honestly boxing is a humble man's sport. Like I've learned that through my experience, and not that I'm not humble, but it's just you really got to work hard, and you got to be in a position to like mentally be able to, you got to watch what you say, right? Like that kid puts himself in a bad position where it looks really bad. It's like, yo, geez, like these interviews come off crazy, and then that happens. It's like you look kind of, you know what I'm saying? So, but hey, boxing's tough. Respect to anybody that gets in the ring. My hat's off to him. Like he fought through it. I know they had a lot of stuff going on in the before and after the fight. It's just like that's how I'm at this point in my career. I take my hat off to anybody that steps in the ring and goes to war like that. But yeah, when you saw me in San Francisco at the Fisherman's Wharf, I remember exactly. I was 7-0 at the time, and it's been a long journey, even leading up to Albert Bell. I think when you saw me at that meet and greet when I was about to fight Albert Bell, after that fight, my career took a little downhill turn, and it was like a little spiral up, and then I was kind of navigating my way downwards. I mean, even though these fights were close and I should have edged them, the thing is, on paper, I didn't. So I think that's what put me in this position that I'm in now. And yeah, I currently have no promoter, but I just signed on with a woman who's a great person. Her name's Emily. I'm not sure how you pronounce her last name. It's Pandelakis. I'm not sure if you say it in Spanish or in English, but she reached out to me after I posted that on Twitter and I went on the MVO podcast.
Mm-hmm.
She heard about me. She actually works for PBC, and pretty much she gave me a ring. She gave me a phone, sent me a message. We exchanged numbers. She gave me a phone call, and I don't know, bro. In my boxing journey, there's sometimes where you don't know what move you're gonna make, but a lot of the times, like they say, you gotta trust your gut feeling. Like there's just this gut feeling. Sometimes it's even like when you have a job and it's like something's telling you like just to leave this job, and that you gotta always listen to your gut feeling. And honestly, I had a phone conversation with her, and like I honestly got like a good feeling, like, dude, like this woman probably wants to help me, like just like my first manager. Like she seems really like she's just trying to help me, like she doesn't need to do it. So I right away said, let's go. She wanted to obviously get me some fights to get some momentum and kind of get back to the winning circle and whatnot. But I can't say it on here. But then somebody called her making an offer for me to fight. And from what it looks like, they've accepted the fight. I'm about to fight. I can't mention the date, but it's someday in September. Once the contracts are signed, I'll be more than happy to like announce it.
Oh, that's great news.
It's great news, but it's a undefeated fighter who any undefeated fighter is 16-0. I'll give the hints. He's 16-0, but he's 16-0, so obviously he's decent. He's not just a guy who's like this somebody, right? He's decent, but to be real with myself, he's never fought anybody at the level or nowhere close to the level that I've fought as far as opponent. So realistically speaking, there's no, honestly, like I'm not taking it like pressure. I'm just doing what I love, and I'm training as hard as I can and just doing things differently. But honestly, if I can't win this fight, then hey, I don't know, man. Like I'll really have to think about hanging up the gloves, because I don't see why I wouldn't beat a guy like this. Like I know he's undefeated, but there's just no way. Like we've already seen footage, and I really got to get this job done if I want my career to further, and if I want to even give myself a chance in this boxing business. You got to realize, if I can't beat this guy, then maybe I don't belong in boxing. At the elite level, it's only going to get harder, right? So it's like, yeah.
Well, that's fantastic news. I did see that you signed with Emily, and if I'm not incorrect, I believe she also is the manager for Adam Blue Nose Lopez, who we've had on the show. I believe she is.
Is she? No, I think the girl that manages Adam Blue Nose is she goes by her Instagram is Pitch Inc.
Okay, well, I could be wrong. I do follow her on social media, so I got the news right away. And this is even better news, that already somebody's approached you for a fight. Now, you're telling me this is like an undefeated prospect. and he doesn't know what he's getting himself into. Well, he's going to watch your tape as well, obviously. I don't know who it is. I'm going to have to go through all the super featherweight rankings.
He definitely knows, which is why we were waiting for the yes for a little bit, because it was like a little bit back and forth. But we got the yes, so I'm just waiting for the contracts to be final, and then we'll be able to announce. But yeah, it's weird that sometimes it's not who you know, it's who you have behind you, or someone that you're associated with that allows you to all of a sudden, get this opportunity, get this call. So I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful Emily called me, because she said, "Hey, you don't have to take the fight. Like, don't feel obligated. I rather, if it's up to me, I'd rather get these 2 fights so you can get these wins, and then we'll jump into something." But I honestly sent the footage to my coach, and me and my coach both said, like, "Yo, like, fuck that. This is a great opportunity to make a great statement against an undefeated guy, and winning someone that's undefeated puts you back in the mix. It's just, yeah."
You came so close to getting a fight. Using social media, I noticed that you came very close to fighting Jamel Herring, who no longer holds a title. You came pretty close there. And also there was a lot of chatter among boxing fans in the Bay Area about you possibly fighting Gabe Flores. And from what I understand, Bruce Trampler released Gabe Flores recently. So I was going to ask you if that was still somebody on your radar should Gabe Flores come back.
Well, I don't know if they released him yet. I heard both sides. I heard from someone else it wasn't true, but yeah, a lot of fights should have happened that I was pushing for that didn't. The Jamel Herring fight, I just feel that was a lot of politics involved, as far as him being affiliated with Terrence Crawford and them, to where they were moving him a different route to get there. After Albert Bell, I was supposed to fight for a world title against Miguel Burchell way before Oscar Valdez had fought him. But obviously, they gave the decision to Bell, who obviously was affiliated with Crawford and his team too. So it looked like there was a lot going on with Crawford's people. Steven Nelson was fighting a lot too. But hey, like I said, it's not how good you are. It's who you really have with you and surrounding you that matters in these close decisions. Where you got to change that is by stopping someone or knocking them out. So that's my goal this next fight. Like, I can't be leaving things in the hands of the judges. Like, they can't seem to get it right. And it's like, no disrespect to them, but I just gotta make a statement, take care of business, because it's super frustrating. And then the Gabriel Flores fight, I was really, really pushing for that fight. But it's like, now I don't know if I would fight him now. It's like he's been crushed. I think he's been put on a spot where they've seen what he can do at that level. So, well, what do they expect Andy's going to do? Andy's going to do his job and do what he has to do. So I don't even think it's a fight of that magnitude. That what I'm saying is that people are going to pay and they would do anything to go to now. They're kind of like, Andy's going to beat him up. So it's not at that caliber. But I was trying to make that happen when it was like at the peak. It was like perfect. But yeah.
How did that make you feel hearing the news lately? Because I want people to get an idea of the people you've competed against, and you had very close fights. The El Venado Lopez fight kind of went under a lot of people's radar, but now El Venado is the IBF mandatory to Josh Warrington, and he's going to fly across the pond into the UK to face him in a world title fight. Like, I'm not saying that you would have gone down to featherweight, but that's the type of fighters that you've come very close. On my scorecard, I had you edging that. I know Andre Ward said at the 7th round you were up ahead considerably. It appear you got hurt. Maybe you found out a lot of things about yourself in that fight. Did you?
Oh yeah, I was able to rally back. Honestly, I was hurt, but I was like, okay, like I lost the round, but I have these 3 rounds I just got to win each round. I put in my head, if I win these next 3 rounds, that'll diminish the round that I got hurt, right? So I was taking it round by round. I was like, oh shit, like I won that one. I'm sure I won that one. Then I was going in the 8th and I was like, damn, like I got that one too. So I was like self-motivating myself, but I was all, to be honest, I don't want to say this word, but I was all fucked up mentally. I was cut. I was bleeding. I was just like, I was just taking it round by round, second by second. When the fight was over, I was like, "Fuck yeah!" Like I won, bro. I cleared those rounds. I think I did it. Like because I had a good lead and I had a good close. So I mean, yeah, one round, but I didn't think that would happen. So that was disappointing. But yeah, it's just it's look, Albert Bell. This is what people gotta understand too. Albert Bell, he's still undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
El Venado hasn't lost since I fought him. He's on a streak right now.
Yeah, he's on a mean streak. I when I saw him in the ring with Gabe Flores, I was thinking, what did his father agree to? Like, did they not watch his tape? Did they not what he's capable of?
You know what? He's a shorter guy. You know, he looks like you could catch him. But I already knew when that fight got accepted, I was like, nah, dude, they're tripping. They think they're gonna get him, but they're not. Like I was trying to, and trust me, he has a little tricky style. It kind of reminds me of a little Pacquiao.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually fighting. He's actually fighting August 20th in down here in San Diego before he fights the Warrington fight.
Oh,
he's gonna be fighting down here. I believe it's on the card of Navarrete and a couple other guys on the card. But yeah, so all these guys that I've lost these decisions to this day, they're still undefeated. Even my last fight, John O'Carroll, he's still, I know he's, a lot of people think they could beat him, but I'm just saying, till this day, they haven't been beaten. So.
Yeah, let's talk about that because that was your departure from Top Rank when I saw you appear on that Triller card. And boxing fans, like the hardcore boxing fans, were having a lot of mixed feelings about Triller coming into the boxing space as a promotional company. And you were the co-main, right? What was that fight? Man, that was crazy. That was a crazy day for boxing. I know you were there in Miami, right? But if I'm correct, what was that? Evander Holyfield was the main event?
Yeah.
And he got hurt pretty bad quickly, huh?
Yeah, he shouldn't have been in the ring. Yeah, that was, I guess they made it in Miami because that's where they were going to only accept the fight and pass all his licenses. He wasn't supposed to be in the ring, but that went down like that, and I couldn't believe they had me losing a unanimous decision. I was just like, holy shit, man. Like, are you serious?
Close one. Well, I guess that's why you're saying you're ready not to leave it in these judges' hands, and especially coming
like,
up.
Even if I'm up, like, I mean, I already talked to my coach. Hey, even if I'm winning and beating his ass, like, shit, by all you know, they're having me down. I just can't anymore.
Was that for a secondary title? WBC, was it silver international type title?
Oh, yeah, it was for the forgot what title was it.
But it was a title nonetheless.
WBA. It was a WBA. I believe it was a WBA interim title.
All right. Well, that was going to get you potentially close to the Venezuelan champion right now, Gutierrez, right? I mean, like you were looking at your championship path at 130 pounds. And there's another fight. I don't know if my co-host Drew is going to disagree with me. Drew, do you have a question for Andy? Hopefully he can hear you and you can hear him.
Are you going to be moving up to fight this prospect, or you tend to stay down in the weight that you're at?
No, to be honest, I'm going to stay at the weight that I'm at. I feel I'm the strongest. I'm the biggest at the weight that I'm at. So it wouldn't be a smart move to give myself a last chance at moving up in weight. And, well, then that's going to play a factor in the fight, So I just want to stay at the weight that I've had the most success at and just make this happen. Just because I don't want to leave any excuses of, oh, maybe I shouldn't have went up in weight. Oh, maybe I should have ran more. I should have sparred more. So I'm actually taking off to Vegas at the end of this month. I'm doing everything I can to leave no stone unturned. So going into the fight, I could realistically say the outcome, I've done everything I could. And it's a good feeling when you walk into a fight knowing you did things better or more than you did last time. And that's how I've always done my fights. So I've always tried to make it more of something harder. Just, I always train hard, but it's just as you're reaching these new levels, there's little things you can add. It's that extra lap, that extra push-up, that extra exercise. All that shit comes into play when you're socking and rocking and hurting and yeah.
Yeah, speaking of training, did you help Ruben Villa prepare for his fight, for his return at 126 pounds?
I did. I helped Ruben Villa a lot. And now Ruben Villa, here's another hint. Ruben Villa is going to return the favor in helping me. I'm actually going to spar with him this Wednesday. because who I'm fighting is a southpaw.
Oh, man.
So that's cool.
Well, shout out to Ruben from the 831. I went down and checked out his new gym in Salinas. Shout out to the 831.
Yeah, it's a nice gym.
Very nice, man. Shout out to him and his team. Well, that's great news. You're going to be preparing with him. I also saw you with Snack Nutrition. It wasn't very recent, but I saw you running the track with Gennady Golovkin. Is that right?
Oh, yeah. That was at a time Gennady was coming to check out the training and stuff. He ended up pulling his muscle like twice. They flew his ass back.
Is that what happened? Because I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw.
He's older. It's those type of exercises, and it's not a joke. Like I could see why. Hey, I sometimes feel certain muscles tweak. Like I could only imagine him at his age. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I did see that. So and everybody was wondering what happened. Why didn't that work out? This was kind of after he left Abel, right? And he was kind of shopping for a new coach. Right. So he was with Snack. So, as a boxing fan yourself, man, are you excited about the trilogy? I know a lot of Chicanos are like, I don't care to see this again. But me, I'm for it. I want to see an ending, a finale to this.
Yeah, but I think if anyone's gonna give the ending, it's gonna be Canelo, just because he's younger, stronger. You know, he's coming off a loss, so he's gonna come hungrier. You know, it's just I think Gennady's looking at this like a retirement plan, like a 401k. I'm about to cash out.
It's not going to be a bad payday, man. Not at all. So were you impressed with him, despite him having some type of a calf injury or a training injury there at Snack? Were you impressed with his work ethic?
I was surprised at his size, how bulky he looks, how solid he looks as far as his physique. I was like, man, I can see why this guy puts down everyone. His shoulders look like little boulder rocks. It looks crazy.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So now you're with Emily. People who may not know, but you were with Peter Kahn, which is like people say in the business that he's one of the most fantastic who's who manager to you name it, right? How do you feel leaving Top Rank in that, man? You ready to move on to the next chapter in your life?
Yeah. So whatever fight happens next, because you're talking about Top Rank, just know that I have no promoter. I just have a manager at the moment. But just circling back to Peter Kahn. Peter Kahn's a great manager. Honestly, I have nothing bad to say about Peter. It's just Peter's a manager who's too busy. Like, he's so busy. He has so many fighters. Mm-hmm. I know someone else who went through the same thing, and he had him fighting once a year as an 8-0 guy, and he told Peter, "Hey, I can't be fighting once a year. I'm 8-0. Like, by the time I'm 15-0, I'm gonna be like 5 years in, and just fighting once a year doesn't happen." And I guess some of that frustration came to me. You know, we hadn't fought going into the Lopez fight. After that, I didn't fight for a year and a half. I think that had to be my hardest time in life as far as dealing with, you know, you got to balance yourself, right? You still got to make money. People don't understand. They go like, "Oh, you guys make money." Well, yeah, dude, but if you're not fucking fighting, you're not making money. And even then, a $50,000-$60,000 check, you know, you got 10-20% going to the manager, 10% to the trainer. You got to do your taxes. I mean, what are you left with, right? And then you got to think about, you know, you can get a job and get a salary and be secured. You got the bag secured. We don't have the bag secured. We live our life with an unsecured bag in hopes of getting a fight. So, I mean, that was the thing with me too. And even this fighting this prospect, it ain't for much. It ain't for nothing. It ain't for like, it's not for nothing, but I'm looking at this more like the opportunity. I believe in myself. I know I could beat this guy. Although it ain't for no, I'm glad it's for something. At least it's something, right? But at the end of the day, when I pay everybody, it'll be hardly nothing. It's whatever. It's lunch money, training camp expenses, mortgage bills. I mean, you go down the list. But I'm looking at this as the opportunity. Like, dude, like winning this fight, I'm gonna be in a better spot. But yeah, Peter, you know, I parted ways with him, gave him a phone call respectfully, and I got nothing to say but good things. Peter has been a manager who's increased my purses fight after fight. And believe me, Triller took care of us. Triller took care of him. And we cashed out on that fight. Just unfortunately, I wasn't able to get that win.
Yeah. That's great, man. That's great because I live my life not burning any bridges at all. At all, man. Never at all. Take something I learned from everything that I learn. You know what I mean? I bring it with me and shit. So that's really great news. I'm gonna put your IG up there. El Tiburon Vences 1, and I can't wait to hear who this opponent is when you're in Vegas. Can you give us a hint to where you train?
Oh, I'm gonna train. Well, I'm not sure, but we're gonna hit up. I guess they got a fighter at pound for pound, and then I'm gonna try to get in some sparring with former world champion Jesse Magdaleno, since he's a southpaw. He's slick, he's fast, he's a good little boxer. So I'm just giving myself every chance to get in with the best. That way, when I go in with this guy, like, it's gonna be nothing new. It shouldn't be nothing. You know, Ruben Villa is another guy who has fantastic footwork. Like, he looks sharp as hell.
He looked fantastic at Thompson Boxing. I keep telling all my friends, make sure you watch these Thompson Boxing cards, man, because so many future stars can just come out at Thompson Boxing.
Yeah, Ruben looked unbelievable. He looked like Lomachenko, angles, left, right. Like, I was like, damn, good for him.
Yeah, so I'm happy to hear that. Make sure you let him know Shoeshine that was down at his gym that you were on my show. I appreciate that. What else did I want to ask you real quick? Oh, I never plug other people's podcasts, rarely, but man, definitely try to get yourself on the Boxing Voice while you're in Vegas.
Oh,
sit down with those guys.
Yeah, I'm going. Actually, I know Nesto. I've been communicating with him. So awesome. I'm gonna set up. I'm actually gonna let him know when I'm out there. I'm actually gonna send him a message right now. Now that you reminded me, and he's gonna fit me in his schedule to sit down and interview me. So I'll definitely be in there.
Yeah, I'll definitely be catching that, and I'll be excited to promote your fight when it comes out. Drew, you got any more last questions for him?
The couple of losses you have on your record, if you beat this guy that you're negotiating a fight with, you plan on ever, like, I know guys that lost fights, they tend to try to make fights with them again, rematches, to try to avenge their loss to each of them. Would that come into play if you beat this prospect?
I mean, you know who I would love to, I think I got this question one time. You know who I would love to fight? So Albert Bell, I'm sure, you know, he's doing his own thing. He beat me. John O'Carroll, from what I heard, he doesn't like taking tough fights. He's not going to take the fight. I would like to fight Venado again. It was a good fight. It was a war. I think he's better now. I think I'm better now, and I think that would be a entertaining fight. But who knows, you know? Us as boxers, we all go on our different paths, you know, and I mean, I would love to fight any of the guys I lost to. That'd be kind of fun, right? After this fight, if I could fight someone I lost to, that would be fun.
Yeah, I mentioned to you that I'm always in Hollister for my job. And
oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I was wondering if you wanted to give a shout out to your boy's gym that you train at, because they teach classes there too, right?
No, he's actually a private gym. It's called the Hollister Boxing Gym. But yeah, that's where I train in Hollister. So yeah, kind of when you told me, oh, you always work in Hollister, I was like, man, that's like my second home now. I'm in Hollister every morning at 9 in the morning. I'm there training 2.5 hours, then I'll bounce out, head to San Jose. Yeah.
Shout out to everybody in Hollister at the A through N. Andy, it was a pleasure having you, man. I'm really looking forward to find out who this mystery opponent is. And hopefully you'll be successful and they'll pick you up on that, whatever promotional outfit that is, and see you in the future campaign towards another your first world title opportunity.
Yeah. Thank you. Shout out to Shoeshine Boxing for having me, and I really appreciate you guys' time.
I appreciate you, man. Take care of yourself, buddy.
All right, man.
All right. As Andy El Tiburon Vences. Damn, I'm surprised, man. That's great news already. He's got a fight. I know he can't announce it. They've got to probably sign papers. I can only imagine if it's going to be at PBC, DAZN, who knows, right? Man, that was great, guys. Hey, jab that like. I appreciate everyone who just came up in here. D-Style Boxing, Chancey Pearls, man. What's good, everybody, guys? Let's get into the show. Drew, what'd you think of this weekend in boxing?
It was all right.
It was all right. Speaking of Mick Conlan at a featherweight, we're talking about El Venado Lopez. Mick Conlan wants another title opportunity. You know, he's leading contender in Fight of the Year with Lee Wood. He says he wants Lee Wood he fought Miguel Mariaga, I believe he's a Colombian. Was it a bore fest? He needed a win, a solid win.
I don't even think the Mariaga, whatever his name is, went around off Mike Allen.
Mariaga, yeah, it was kind of a shutout. Yes, he does have power in the past, and he's been dropped by a lot of top opposition, but to me, it was kind of boring. Aside from the fact that it was a domestic level fight, I don't know how Mick Conlan beats Lee Wood. I don't know if he like, we were just talking about rematches, man. If he's going to get an opportunity to have that rematch. We just mentioned Josh Warrington will be fighting El Venado Lopez, the guy that Andy went in a war with. Do you think Mick Conlan's going to get this title opportunity of another title shot?
Tell you the truth, I think, like, you know, the way that Lee Wood is with his career now, like, people, like, he has the cards. He can have the fight in his home city, in his hometown and everything. Why not have it? Because tell you the truth, who else is there for you to fight? Like, but I really think Mike Conlan wins the rematch.
We got a comment from Chauncey Pros. He says, come on, Drew, let's see some energy. You didn't think that kid Floyd Sheffield looked sharp? I think he looks like he's going to be the goods. Chauncey Pros says, Arriaga age. Yeah, I think he's kind of old now, man. This was a good opponent for Mick Conlan to look good against in Dublin, or I'm sorry, in Ireland. I don't know about the guy, man. I have difficulty believing that he can beat the heavy punchers in the featherweight division. You know, despite being this two-time Olympian, and having a stellar amateur career, I don't know where it's going to go, Drew. I noticed also he's not fighting in the U.S. anymore, despite the fact he had a huge audience in New York, man. He had a big, following in New York City.
Well, I don't know. It could be maybe traveling issues and everything. Maybe like having to get ready to get back on track to train when you travel overseas and everything. That could be an issue. So he figures, why not have it in Europe, in the UK?
Yeah. So that was our Saturday daytime fight. I spent an entire maybe 2 minutes on that. Drew, last week's show was a big deal, man. We went on and on and on about the Jake Paul fight, and I don't want to keep yapping about this, Drew, but a lot of shit happened. You were on the space with Hassim on Twitter, and I know you got to talk to him after. And I know that Beeb ended up, who was originally on that press conference call, later on was corrected by Steven Espinoza about some of the things that went on behind the scenes, right? And then Beeb corrected himself. And I feel like we almost owe ourselves a correction to our audience. But at this point, who gives a shit? Do you feel like we owe a correction? Like, I feel like we were really one-sided against Jake Paul.
Fuck Jake Paul. Who gives a fuck?
Last week, there was a lot of F-bombs. All right, Drew, this was interesting to me, though. Apparently, Jake Paul, MVP Promotions, paid some of the fighters a portion of their purse. So I thought, I can't rag on the guy entirely. That was pretty decent of him.
Well, he should have. Tell you the truth, man. Like, you kind of picked this guy. You picked a heavyweight to go down and weight from like 230 pounds in like fucking 3 weeks and everything. So like, you kind of figured this wasn't going to happen. Actually, he did, but he missed weight by 1.5 pounds and everything. But this was like, I even said to Espinosa, don't you think you guys should have a say on who he fights? And you're like, no, we only want, it's up to, we need the fighters to keep their end of the bargain, the terms of the contract. I'm like, well, come on, do you think he was going to fucking come in willingly the way at 200 pounds, first of all? Then the athletic commission said weigh in at 205 pounds to make it safer. Like, there's two different stories and everything.
Exactly,
man.
But that's where I said I think he fumbled the bag there. I mean, in his interviews, he was saying that he had until 11:59 p.m., but Steven Espinoza corrected Beeb and everybody out there and said, look, the guy vehemently said that he was not coming in any lower than 215, which is why they pulled the plug preemptively earlier than the 11:59 deadline that they gave him. But he weighed in on Friday anyways at 206 pounds, just a pound away from what the commission was going to grant him. So why the fuck did he not just say, great, thank you, 205, I'll do it? In the end, he was going to be able to probably compete. I don't think they were going to stop the fight over 1 pound over the limit they asked him to come in. So did he blow it? I mean, did he blow it? Has he left a bad taste in everybody's mouth out there that might consider him for an opponent?
His management team should be fired. And if his management team, if he didn't listen to, then there's something wrong with that kid. Because I tell you the truth, he's not going to get another big opportunity because he can't be trusted. Like, he actually fucked his dad's legacy up.
Whoa, that's pretty heavy. Let me know if you guys agree that he ruined his dad's legacy over all this controversy. The phone line's open, by the way, guys. 702-710-3627.
Like if you look at it like this, it said in the the space that he openly admitted to tampering with the fucking weight scale. So like why was this being brought up in you're bringing up all shit, you're too honest, you're fucking good. And then here's the thing, I'm in another space again with him. And you got people still saying, oh, he said I was like this. Yo, why about the treat that they got you on video in a space admitting to fucking tamper with the weight scale?
Yeah, I saw that.
And so I'm like, guys, you gotta realize he signed a contract to fight at 200 pounds.
Yeah, the chat's talking about Anderson Silva. Chauncey Pearl says to D Styles, I hope so. I'd like to see that. Now, Drew, it looks like, they're going back to Jake Paul's going back to his old recipe. I know he was looking at KSI. The guy, KSI is going to be on DAZN. And also, guys, by the way, DAZN, I heard that they're raising the price by $50 a year. Like, that's a story in itself. Are you guys freaking pissed about this damn DAZN? $50 extra. Like, I don't even know what it is now, man. It just comes out of my credit card. But I am pretty pissed about that. LA Shadow 8, good to see you in the room. Appreciate you, homie. Thanks for coming in.
I'm seriously about to ask somebody about a fire stick.
All right, let's move on to something more entertaining. Philadelphia's Blair the Flair. Everybody counted him out when Rocha beat the crap out of him and knocked him down. Dude, this is a guy I've been rooting for a long time just because he's entertaining. He gets that whole wrestling. I know that Drew's a wrestling fan. I know D-Styles is a wrestling fan. He gets it, man. He knows how to sell himself as an entertainer in boxing. But when he took that whooping against Golden Boy's Rocha, it looked like it was pretty close to being the end of the rope for the guy, Drew, in his early 30s. But Blair the Flair comes back. And what's crazy is that our very good friend in the ring with Christine of the HCP network and whatnot, she was the cut woman. She was the cut woman. And they were so gracious enough. We mentioned Stacy Snyder, which is a good friend of In the Ring with Christine Lopez, who passed away unexpectedly. And Maurice Hooker came in wearing a bandana with Stacy's name on it. He made sure that everybody at DAZN knew about his friend passing away unexpectedly of complications from a serious health issue. But that wasn't enough for Maurice Hooker. Blair the Flair dropped him, three times? I got to ask you now, 4 times. Where was this Blair the Flair? Or is it just that Maurice Hooker, despite, having all these things on his mind that, coming in 3 pounds overweight, by the way, not even able to make a welterweight, former 140-pound world champion, missing on the scale by 3 pounds. Drew, was he out of shape? Was his head somewhere else? Or was it Blair the Flair's back?
It's a combination of both, because tell you the truth, Blair Cobbs looked good that night. He looked good. He was very disciplined. He boxed a good fight. He did have moments of lapses to the old self, but this guy kept him on track that was training him. So, but he had a good game plan, and he boxed good. He boxed really good. Looked really good.
He didn't get clipped with anything big. I mean, Maurice Hooker does have power.
He moved his head a lot.
So do you think it's testament to his new he's got a new training team? He's no longer with Freddie Roach. He's bounced around. At one time he trained in Las Vegas with our boy Francisco Esparza, I believe, Bones Adam Gyms. So this is like the third gym in 5 years for Blair the Flair.
I think these people were able, like the reason why he left Roach is because he didn't have the attention he wanted. So these guys, this team put their full attention with him, and they got him to a point that to be a better boxer, to be more disciplined, and to strike where you have strike where you could have a high percentage of hitting. He was countered a lot. He was countering better. Like everything, he looked really good. Booker, man, I don't think he should have never fought. I don't think he should have fought.
Listen, I'm a little bit concerned about Blair the Flair, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because knowing his age, yes, he's in phenomenal shape, right? But he's with Golden Boy, and he's over at the Zone. And he's not like he's going to get to fight PBC welterweights, which leaves him fighting in-house fights like the likes of Rashidi Ellis, that's with Golden Boy, which is going to go horribly wrong for him. I'm even hearing that potentially they may sacrifice him to Vergil Ortiz, depending on what kind of opponent Vergil Ortiz gets. Vergil Ortiz specified he wants to fight right away. He's shaking off the ring rust. Sacrificing him to a Vergil Ortiz or making some kind of fight with Conor Benn, who's constantly looking for an opponent. These are all difficult fights as a sacrificial lamb for him. He's entertaining if you match him up against the right guy. Put him in against somebody better than him, marginally better than him, marginally stronger, marginally better chin, and he's in trouble, man. He's in trouble. It's wobbly legs all again. But, congratulations to Blair the Flair for coming back. I like the guy. He's very likable. Put him in against the right type of opponents, and he makes a very entertaining fight. Even my wife said it. I was disappointed that Blair the Flair Cobbs and Maurice Hooker were not the co-main event, Drew. There was like a noticeable... it was a noticeable vibe, even coming through the TV, that the crowd did not respond to the Marlena Esparza fight as the co-main event. And I almost feel like Oscar De La Hoya only put Marlena Esparza as the co-main event because he lost Sinisa Estrada. All right, he lost the biggest female star he had in Sinisa Estrada over the Top Rank. So he puts this kind of boring mismatch as the co-main event when the Blair the Flair Cobbs with Maurice Hooker fight, it really exceeded my expectations. Despite Maurice Hooker being dropped 4 times, Drew, I thought it was very entertaining. I was actually very surprised. Let me give a quick shout out again to Christine Lopez there, because she did double duty, not just working that fight, but also this one in the corner. And it doesn't get any better than... yeah, go ahead, Drew. It doesn't get any better than being in the great company of Terrence Bud Crawford. And shout out to whoever took this picture. A great picture there of Christine Lopez, and of course the headband that they wore, Maurice Hooker also wore, of Stacy, their friend Stacy. Guys, by the way, the phone line, whoever is still here with us, appreciate you guys being here with the Shoe Shine. The phone line is open if you guys want to talk about Blair the Flair or the main event. Let's get on to the main event, because Vergil Ortiz, after almost a year of being sidelined with a pretty serious medical condition, comes back to fight an undefeated fighter who we saw recently fight a guy named Alex Martin, who I believe also Christine Lopez knows. Alex Martin, 135-pound fighter, brought up to welterweight. It was the debut fight of McKinson in the U.S., Drew, and he couldn't put a 135-pound fighter away. 2 knockouts for McKinson, and everybody asks, what's McKinson bring to the table? And I said, an unblemished record and a southpaw. Oh, shoot, we got a Papi Chulo in the chat. I don't know which one this is. Drew, there's a Papi Chulo in my Vegas community, but this might be a troll account. But nonetheless, I appreciate Papi Chulo, whether if it's a troll account or not.
Papi Chulo number 2.
Papi Chulo number 2. I appreciate Papi Chulo number 2. Dropping comments in here.
I thought the Esparza, like the
Marlena Esparza
was born. Esparza, I think she's a born fighter.
Well, you know what? She doesn't have the mean intentions that Sinisa Estrada has, and Sinisa Estrada makes it well known. Sinisa Estrada can close the show. She's a devastating puncher. She can put together enough punches to hurt you, which is hard in women's boxing. We have to remind everybody they're only allowed 2 minutes, 2-minute rounds, and it's hard to get that work in. And knock out your opponent. So again, I'm not sure why Oscar put that as the co-main, but whatever, man. Let's talk about Vergil Ortiz now, Drew, because I need to know, man. He's the WBO, basically the WBO mandatory to Terrence Bud Crawford. Terrence Bud Crawford negotiations with Errol Spence. I keep seeing every freaking week and every other time I'm on YouTube, people are saying the fight's almost done, the fight's almost done. No evidence that the fight is almost done. And here he finds himself in Texas, supporting his homeboy, Maurice Hooker, who was on the card, watching Vergil Ortiz, Drew. Vergil Ortiz is making it pretty damn clear that he is ready and he wants that title shot. So I want to know in the chat, guys, is Vergil Ortiz, is he ready? Is he ready for this title opportunity with Bud Crawford? And does it look more like a possibility as this Errol Spence fight isn't materializing? It's just not happening, Drew. Terrence is a free agent. Will he take on Vergil Ortiz instead?
Vergil Ortiz is nowhere near ready for Terrence Crawford.
But tell me why.
Vergil Ortiz, I'm gonna tell you something. He did okay against McKingston. McKingston, his movement, his awkwardness gave him problems. And he did. They could people say, "Oh, he looked okay." Oh, all right, whatever. But he had this seek and destroy method is only going to take you so far in boxing, because he got hit by that kid. He got hit by McKingston a lot. His defense, questionable.
You think he needs to tighten up his defense? But I did want to say this. I give McKinston credit because he is very slick. Yes, he only has 2 knockdowns. We talked about it on the roundtable with Joe Habib and everybody in T-Styles. But he's very slick. And he's the kind of southpaw that if he had power, he would be one of those avoided fighters like Boo Boo Andrade, right? Yeah. He can move out of the way. He can slip and slide, and he can duck punches. And he gave Vergil Ortiz a new look that he hasn't fought a slick southpaw. What I did like from Vergil Ortiz is post-fight, he gave himself not the best of grades. He had been out of the ring for a year, Drew, and he said he headhunted too much. This is something that he wants to put on a show. He's in Texas. He's headhunting early, right? But he adjusted, and he knew he had to cut that ring off and work his body. And the shots, he started ripping those body shots. And what I like is that McKinston was very gracious and admitted he hit me so damn hard in my hip, near the hip, that he thought he broke something. Because when the fight was called off, he couldn't walk. He was from taking those punishing body shots. He just couldn't walk anymore. He couldn't take these punches. Vergil Ortiz is a devastating puncher in my eyes. He's a devastating puncher. He can put together some mean combinations. And I also said this on the roundtable, that his musical IQ, Drew, he loves to play guitar and piano. And there's something about having musical intelligence that transfers over to the sport of boxing when putting together your combinations. It's like jazz. Shout out to that Bruce Goes Jazz. Because it's almost like jazz, man. He's improvising. He's breaking the guy down. I do like that. But I think I'm still in agreement with you on the one main point that I'm asking everybody. If he's not ready for Bud now, how many more fights would it take? But I guess I'm agreeing with you, Drew. I don't think he's ready for Bud in his next fight. Yeah, this might be as good as he gets, but I think maybe, and please, guys, if you guys want to call or comment, let me know why. I think it would benefit him to fight somebody really tough. Like we just interviewed Andy Vences, and he had this ridiculously tough fight with Teofimo Lopez, who's going to fight for the world title, right? He was headbutt. They both sustained massive cuts, massive blood. He was hurt. He had to come back from being hurt and almost knocked down, just about being almost close to being knocked down. This is something Vergil Ortiz hasn't seen because he's that good. The only other guy who's that good is your boy from Philadelphia, is Boots Ennis.
Well, I'll tell you this right now. Terrence Crawford easily beats Vergil Ortiz right now.
Right now.
Because he'll use his seek and destroy method against him.
Which is kind of what I saw live, man. When I saw Sean Porter, I got to see Sean Porter do very well against Terrence Bud Crawford until the later rounds, man, until he got caught, until he over committed. Now, I know Santeo Media has seen a lot of Vergil Ortiz in training camps. If you want to call homeboy, if not, shout out to you. But I think it would benefit him if he faced somebody very, very strong, somebody with a very good record. And that fight is with Eddie Hearn's Conor Benn. Because right now, we're still in limbo waiting for those two guys in Errol Spence and Terrence Bud Crawford to sign their contracts. And you know damn well, as much as I want to see Vergil Ortiz and Boots Ennis fight in an eliminator, even though they don't have to because he's the WBO, I think that Vergil Ortiz should fight Conor Benn on DAZN as a super fight, wherever that fight is going to be. Conor Benn stands a lot. He's going to fight the toughest opponent available at DAZN. He can come over to the U.S. and make his debut. And it'll play out like Anthony Joshua when Anthony Joshua came over and made his debut in the U.S. Possibly, maybe not. Conor Benn has got brutal power as well. But can he box as well as Vergil Ortiz? I don't think so. Not as late as he came into the game. Is this a good opponent, guys? Let me know. Drew, is this a fight? Not only is it doable, because there was matchroom fighters on the card with Oscar's Golden Boy this Saturday. It's a doable fight. It's very obvious that Conor Benn is the toughest opponent he could fight at DAZN.
Yeah, but I don't think that fight gets made either.
Why? Because he's protected. Because Conor Benn is protected?
It could be because he's protected, but why would you... Like, Eddie Hearn thinks of Oscar beneath him, if that makes sense. So why would I bring one of my best prospects to Oscar's fighter and have Oscar and risk Oscar's fighter beating him?
Because that's what great fighters used to do. They would welcome the toughest opponent in their division. I mean, it's what Oscar De La Hoya. I mean, yeah, I know Oscar's just content being sidelined with his new girlfriend of the week or whatever. But come on, Oscar, led by example. Make your fighters fight the best available. You know, he's not doing it for Jaime. I'm sorry, but he's not doing it for Jaime Munguia. He hasn't done it for Vergil. For Vergil Ortiz, let's be straight. This was very soft opposition. Very, very soft opposition. Zero threat with a guy who has only 2 knockouts. And I think he literally went the distance against a guy who had more losses than he had wins at some point in his career. So not a threat. It's time to ramp up the level of competition for all your fighters across the board. All right. You brought up a great point. If you guys want to chime in on the Vergil Ortiz, I still give him a very high grade. I give him somewhere between like an 8. A solid 8. Okay. Yeah, I thought he was actually going to get this guy out of there earlier in the 6th round, but he did have some ring rust, Drew. Do you remember what you said? What round he would probably knock this guy out?
I said he was going to knock him out late. I said he was going to have problems earlier because of his movement and everything, which he did. It happened the way I said it was going to happen.
I think McKinson, I think he portrayed a good version of himself. I think McKinson's profile is going to be up there now as someone who can box, who's slick, can actually take a lot of punishment. You know, he actually barely took any of Vergil's heavy hands up top. So good for McKinson coming to the U.S. He did himself well. We'll see how it goes for him. All right, Vergil Ortiz could be the next world champion in box in the welterweight division. We've been saying it for a long time. It could be Boots Ennis. At some point, these welterweights, the ones that we have, they're going to age out, and they'll be taking over the division, Drew. All right, man. Well, hey, I forgot to mention this, but Ryan Garcia, this is actually big news, guys. I think it's just big news because it says a lot about the future of Ryan Garcia, Drew. This fight was announced. This is a done deal. I used to think William El Camarón Zepeda from Mexico was possibly going to be one of the great new things in the lightweight division, but lately he hasn't looked that good. In fact, he looked pretty damn awful in one of his recent fights. Jojo Diaz and him have signed and agreed to a fight this fall, which means, you know how we were all saying Ryan Garcia is not going to get the fight, Tank? Oscar expressed that again. He said the negotiations are going horrible. right? The writing's on the wall, guys. There's not going to be a Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis this year. And if it doesn't happen this year, it's probably never going to happen. So who is going to be Ryan Garcia's opponent? It's not going to be Jojo Diaz. Jojo Diaz will not be moving up to 140 to fight Ryan Garcia, which leads us to the fight of this weekend. Drew, get excited, because you used to get very excited, man. But it's Teofimo Lopez fight week in Las Vegas this Saturday night. Teofimo Lopez returns to free TV on ESPN. If you got cable, you should have ESPN. At 140 pounds, coming off a devastating loss where he lost all his titles at 135 pounds to the man from down under, Kambosos. He's saying at 140 pounds, man, he did some interviews this week, that he's a new man, Drew. He's going to be fighting a guy from Mexico, Campa, with only one loss. And I got news for you guys. I don't think it's going to be as easy as everybody thinks, man. Campa's coming to fight. And Campa's not no slouch. You may not recognize his name, but fighters from Mexico, they always come to fight.
Where the fuck these dick riders at when you need them?
I don't think, I don't know if there's Teofimo dick riders according to you anymore. Hey, shout out to Little Penny. Thank you for coming down here and joining us tonight.
They'd be fucking smart than not dick riders anymore. It's like, we to be honest, when I said it and Beep said it, Teofimo's never going to be a world champion again.
The path is difficult. It's going to be difficult now as we get a clear idea. We talked a lot about it last week at 140 pounds. We know that we're going to have Jose Zepeda fight Regis Prograis, and that Jose from Fresno, Jose Ramirez, is going to be getting married and will most likely be given an opportunity to fight the winner of that. Teofimo is at the back of the pack. And why did I just bring up Ryan Garcia? Because it looks like there's a very, very serious conversation beginning to happen between Top Rank, people representing Teofimo Lopez, and Oscar De La Hoya. Now, Ryan Garcia mentioned that Teofimo would be somebody he'd be willing to get in the ring with. And Teofimo made it known today he's very much interested in fighting Ryan Garcia. It's a big, big money payday if these two promoters can get it going. Of course, Teofimo's got to look sensational against Campa this weekend. He's got to look good. He's got to look like he's not going to have any problems at 140 pounds, Drew. We're going to be able to compare. The question is, was Ryan Garcia's opponent at 140 pounds even noteworthy at this point? And Campa, not too many people know, but we're going to see him this weekend, Drew. I think it's very interesting what's developing. Ryan Garcia is not going to be fighting Tank. Get it out of your heads. He's not going to be fighting Jojo Diaz, an in-house fighter. This could be a super fight, if not by the end of the year, but early next year could be a super fight. Yes? No?
I'll be honest with you. I don't think that fight's not happening.
Teofimo and Ryan's not a possibility?
That's not a possibility. That's not happening. Like, there's too much conflict already.
There's too much conflict.
Dead zone and all that. And like, you got to argue, you need to come to the zone. No, we're not having to come to the dead zone. He's going to come to ESPN. And at the end of the day, we all say like Teofimo's going to win. Teofimo might lose this fight. You may have a letdown.
We don't know. His dad
might come in.
I think that's great,
His dad
Drew.
might be drunk again.
We don't know where his headspace is. A lot of fighters have come forward recently, including Danny Garcia has come forward with his, coming clean about his own mental health issues, right? And Teofimo Lopez, he went through a lot of shit leading up to the Kambosos fight that heavily affected his mental state. So we don't know where his headspace is right now. We know that it's very important. Coming into your fight 100% physically ready without any injuries. He had this esophagus problem that probably did affect him in the Kambosos fight. Kambosos says, stop making up excuses, get over it, stop talking about me. We're going to find out Saturday, man. We're definitely going to find out Saturday.
Like, I'll be honest, he should have dumped his dad. He should have told his dad, you can't be in my business.
It seems everybody forgot about that.
Yeah, but they're stupid. They're fucking stupid. They forgot about it because they're fucking stupid.
I know Milcar. Shout out to Milcar. I know Milcar didn't forget, and that Mark Kriegel interview just a couple of weeks ago was a fresh reminder to me of the role his father played. But, everything could be forgiven this week if Teofimo comes back this Saturday and has a sensational knockout at Resorts World International. And by the way, anyone who's in my chat from the Vegas community, man, thank you guys for being here. Resort World International. I love that casino. And I have not been to a fight there yet. And this Saturday, they're going to host maybe their third fight this year. And I got to get out to a fight at Resorts World. By the way, if you're not enthused about Teofimo Lopez's comeback, can you at least be enthused for the nicest Puerto Rican kid out there in the sport of boxing, prospect Xander Zayas?
Venting over Teofimo.
As the co-main.
I'm sorry. No, he should be the main event. No, he should be. Like, I'll tell you the truth, 6 to 9 months from now, he beats half of these 154 pounders. I think he beats Tim Tszyu in 6 to 9 months.
That is a great fight. And one that I don't know if Tim Tszyu's got an exclusive because he is from Australia. Maybe Little Penny knows. I don't know if he's got an exclusive deal with PBC or if he's just coming in on like a one-shot co-promotional deal. But Tim Tszyu is going to fight Charlo next year. So that guy's out of the question, but you make up a great point, or you bring up a great point that all the top fighters for 154 pounds are actually over at PBC, One of my favorite young guys that I would like to see matched up against him is Jesus Ramos that we've had on the show, because I think they're both about the same age. They both have an equal level of experience. Jesus is a slick southpaw. That fight will never happen because I won't get to see PBC work with Top Rank. But if you ask me at what level those two prospects are, that's a fantastic Mexican-American fight against a Puerto Rican guy. By the way, I also got a shitload of likes on Twitter. I tweeted at Oscar because, he allows you to comment now. Thank you, Oscar, for allowing us to comment on your Twitter. And I told him why you're at. He is going to be there. If you want to see Oscar De La Hoya in the flesh, he will be at the Top Rank fight this Saturday, which is strange because he's got to deal with the zone. And I told him, I said, Mr. De La Hoya, while you're there, you might as well scout Xander Zayas as a future opponent for Vergil Ortiz, because even Sonteo Media just said in this chat that Vergil Ortiz's days at 147 pounds are probably numbered. So if he's going up to 154, you might as well get ready for Xander, because in a couple years, you just said it, you probably think he could take Tim Tszyu. We could probably see a great Mexican-Puerto Rican matchup, the likes of Vergil Ortiz and Xander Zayas. Don't call me crazy, man. I know a lot of people here, like D-Styles has interviewed him. I've had the pleasure of talking to him numerous times. This kid wants to smoke, man, and he knows the importance. Xander Zayas knows the importance of the great rivalry between Mexico and Puerto Rico in the sport of boxing. He's not ashamed to go for it, and he knows at some point he is going to need a marquee matchup against a Mexican or Mexican-American opponent, just like all the great Puerto Rican fighters, world champions they've had.
Well, we do have one thing in common. We do want to smoke. We both want to smoke. I'll go on other people's shows and take the smoke, make them look like asses on their own shows that they want. I'll let them come on here, make an ass out of them even more because it has my name on the show and everything. So, end of the day, he should be main event, and I know people are going to be hating on it, but I don't give a flying fuck because it's my opinion. And tell you the truth, as a matter of fact, this is what's fucked up about this fucking this fucking buy BTC, what the fuck you want to call it.
Ooh,
people really just want to come up with an opinion, but a lot of times they want to say, "Oh, it's facts," but they don't want to show. They don't have no proof about it and everything. Like they want to act like all technical and everything. Like with statistics and everything, acting like they know shit, and they try to guess the number on a CompuBox and everything. But like at the end of the day, a lot of these guys make asses out of themselves.
You know who made an ass of themselves is me last week, bro. on that double IPA. I think I made an ass of myself. I'm wondering, guys, let me know if I'm worse drinking on the job here, drinking on the podcast, because tonight you notice I'm just drinking water, bro.
Dave, I don't. Your drinking doesn't go with that. You're good, Dave. Tell you the truth, there's guys that are far more sober that made dumbasses out of themselves, and tell you the truth, they didn't have to try much to make an ass out of themselves.
I heard that, man.
That's how fucking stupid some of these people are. Like I'll be honest, like if anybody wants some legit boxing conversation, you come on this fucking channel.
Hey, I want to thank our boy Andy El Tiburon Vences from San Jose, California. Shout out to everyone from the 408-831 for coming on our show. And Drew, I think it was great that we got to talk to him, because you know what? There's a lot of fighters in his shoes that have been on the wrong end of a decision, and everything that they've worked for their entire lives. Andy was a 3-time Golden Gloves winner in California, 3 times Golden Glove winners. That got him, on the radar of Top Rank people. You could be on top of the world with a contract with Top Rank, and you could lose a couple of close decisions, and all of a sudden, you're on your own again. You know what I mean? Everything you've worked for, go find another source of income, go rebuild your life. It's fantastic that he's found a new management that's going to get him into a fight. I'm very happy for him. And also at the same time, you know what? He's was very real. He knows that if he can't get past this undefeated prospect, then maybe it's time to hang him up. Which a lot of fighters, it's a very difficult decision to make. So thank you for coming on the show. Shout out to everybody who was in the room today. I appreciate you guys. Guys, help me and Drew. The subscriber numbers are now up on YouTube. And after a year and a half, I'll be straight, man. I've been humbled. Like, I thought I'd have hit 1,000 subscribers right off the bat in a year, and that hasn't been the case at all. And I've actually lost subscribers, even though our views have gone up. So I need you to help get the word out. Subscribe to the Shoe Shine. I will be trying to get more content just this Monday show. In fact, Drew and I are working on a cross-platform sports show. Hopefully it'll be on both of our channels. That's coming up, right, Drew? I heard Drew's sports show. He's not trying. He's trying to be humble. Keeping it 100 Sports with Drew Evo's coming in the works. We got football season. We got baseball in October. Did you guys see that Pete Rose was invited, Drew? Did you see that he was invited back for an event in baseball?
Yeah, he was in Philly last night. He was in Philly for the ceremony.
Philadelphia, yeah, because he was part of that championship team.
Yeah.
And I guess they were asking him about some sexual assault thing with minors and he's like, "Oh, that shit was 50 years ago. Quit asking me about that." Pete Rose, I don't know. There's a lot of shit going on in the sports world, Drew, from that to getting getting thrown in the slammer for a little bit of weed in Russia. I mean, there's so much shit in the sports world. It's crazy. And my favorite story, the NFL quarterback who loves massage parlors. I mean, shit. Who don't want to talk about that? I'm sure. Are you going to be talking about that on your show?
You should have got a fucking year-long suspension for one a happy ending. Fucking Kevin really gets fucking a whole season for betting on football.
Exactly.
Yo, guys,
right?
If you don't want to get caught asking for a happy ending, make sure you pay your extra.
With that said, man,
and don't say me love you long time either.
Oh, I didn't say it. But you might want to have that bumper. You might want to have that sample for your show ready. Guys, I hope it was a happy ending for y'all here on the Shoe Shine. Don't forget, every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Thank you again to Andy Vences for joining the show today. If you haven't subscribed to the Shoe Shine, please hit us up. Do so. Leave us a comment on how I could improve the show every week. Thank you to all our supporters in the chat behind the ropes. Shout out to you, homie. Thank you for coming on today. Rhonda, thank you for helping moderate tonight. You know, we love you very much. Little Penny, thank you for watching. Anyone who I may have missed. Yes, Drew Evo. I'm
going to do a favor, everybody. If we can get this up to 50 likes and we can get the sub count up before 50, I promise you next week's show will be a bunch of F-bombs.
All right, F-bombs.
F-bomb every 5 minutes.
F-bombs. I'm going to ask my wife what I have to do to get her to wear a sexy top on the show. How many likes? How many likes? How many subs?
Dave, you can get your ass kicked when you get off this.
I'm going to get my ass kicked. Yeah, exactly. All right, everybody. I appreciate you all. I'm Dave from the 408. We will see you next week, Monday night. The Shoe Shine, 7:30 p.m. Peace out, everybody. Did I finish the show?